So let's begin by saying Bismillah. And I'm just going to share my okay, so can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Excellent. So I actually want to begin with, this is, I forget who it was. I don't think she's here right now. I hope she does join in. Last class, there was a question at the end of the class that we stopped at, and I wanted to begin from there. So if you were there last class, then you might remember that somebody had asked me the question about conditional. And conditionals are very interesting. And today in the meeting, in the WhatsApp group, someone also mentioned a question about, I think it was Junaid Ali, who asked about
about my mistake.
Yeah, about would and
I would.
Yeah, and it was your mistake. So I'm glad that, Moaz, thank you for coming. I'm glad you're here so I can actually show you the explanation, and this will benefit everyone because it's a common word that we use, right? Like will and would are very misused when they're used not correctly. So we're going to look at this word in the middle of the screen, if, right? So when we talk about if is our basic conditional, right? In any language, when you translate the word if, it is on a conditional, right? So, if this happens, then that will happen, right? So it's always a condition, and we call it the conditional tense. Now, there are three kinds of conditional tenses. We have the first conditional, the second conditional, and the third conditional. And this might be a review for a lot of you, but we're just going to go through and I'm going to start explaining each conditional. Once I explain each conditional, I'm going to stop talking and I will allow you to ask any question you want to ask for what we've done until then, because it's really important. And they're very, very different. So each of these conditionals are not okay if you misuse them, right? So when we talk about the first conditional, okay, so what is the first conditional? It is to talk about something that's true, real, and for sure. Okay, so this is the purpose of the first conditional. The second conditional is exactly the opposite. So something that's not true, something that's not real, and something that's not for sure. Right? So it changes a lot, right? One thing is sure, one thing is not sure. One thing is real, the other is not real. True, not true. Now, the third conditional is a little bit like the second conditional because it's also not true. It's definitely not sure, and it's not real. So these two are similar in that sense. And that doesn't really explain everything, right? There's a lot more to it. So I'm going to explain one step further. What is the format that we use, right? So we're going to talk about the format that we use for each of them. For the first conditional, because it's real, because it's true, and because it's for sure, we use the present and the future tense. We use the real tenses. We're talking about the present, and because we're talking about something that's real and true and sure, we use whatever the real tense is to use for now or for tomorrow. Now, but because the second tense is not true and not real and not for sure, we use the past tense plus would. because here for future, we use will. And the third conditional, we use, it's again, not true, not real, not for sure. We use the past perfect tense plus would plus the present perfect. Now, I'm sure this is really confusing, but I'm going to make it a little bit more clear. I'm going to try. The first tense is talking about something like this. Right? So if it rains, the car will get wet. Is that true? Yes, anybody can understand that. Even if it's not raining in your city, and even if you don't have a car, you can still understand that if it rains, the car will get wet. It's real. It's for sure. There's no doubt in it, right? Second conditional is your hypothetical conditional. And it's the most used conditional, okay? This is if it rained, the car would get wet. Okay, now, because I'm not sure if it's going to rain, I'm not sure if my car would get wet because maybe my car is parked in the shelter. Maybe my car is parked in the garage. Maybe it's not going to rain. Maybe it never rains in my city. I don't know. Maybe I don't even have a car. So it's all hypothetical, right? So it's sometimes we don't need to talk about facts and everything, right? This is about the first conditional is talking about facts. When we talk about hypothetical for the second conditional, in the first conditional, we talk about fact. It's for sure. My car is on the street. It's not in the shelter. And the sky is gray. It's about to rain. So if it rains, the car will get wet. Absolutely sure. But second conditional, I'm just speaking hypothetically. If it rained, the car would get wet. The third conditional is basically, the purpose of the third conditional is talking about past, how it could be different. Now, we all know that we cannot change the past, right? So it's not true, it's not real, it's not for sure, because you and I, we both know that we can't change the past. So if it had rained, the car would have gotten wet, like this, past perfect plus would plus present perfect. Because I don't know, yesterday it didn't rain, but maybe it could have rained. Then the car would have gotten wet. Maybe it wouldn't have gotten wet because I don't have a car. Or maybe it wouldn't have gotten wet because it's in the shelter, it's in the garage. It's even more hypothetical than hypothetical because now I'm talking about something that happened in the past. So here you see if it rains, present, and the car will get wet, will over here. Here we're talking about the past tense, right? If it rained in the past tense, and then the car would get wet, and it's would over here. Oops. Right? And in the third, if it had rained, under this past perfect tense, then we have would have gotten, put it in bold, and would present perfect, like that. Okay, this is a quick summary of everything the basic things that you need to know about the conditionals. Now, I want you to look at this and please let me know what questions do you have about this before I continue.
I guess nobody got any questions about it.
Yeah. So
But I just wanted to ask, like, what is the importance of knowing the things that you're explaining right now? Because I didn't get that thing in the group, neither I saw it there. So I don't
that
know
is
why.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, we need this anyways. So we're doing this because this is something that we need in English. We need to use this correctly. And the second answer to your question is that there was a mistake that it was made. I'm going to copy paste it over here. Okay. And I don't want you to feel, Moaz, I don't want you to feel, overwhelmed because I'm putting your sentence on here. I love the fact that we can learn from each other's mistakes. Okay. So don't feel anything like this should not be to discourage you. This is actually really beneficial for everyone. Now this one over here is a very, very good mistake because this is something that a lot of people make when they're speaking in English. A lot of, especially when they're second language from the southeast part of Asia, when they speak, they often mistake the use of will and would, and it is incorrect. So why are we doing this? Because this is very necessary, but let's focus on actually doing this. So I don't have any food favorite in particular, that's fine. But here, where did I correct this? I think
That's not my sentence.
it's not your sentence. Whose sentence is this?
It is your sentence.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find your sentence. I don't want to write your
It's
sentence.
right
I'm just,
above.
yes. And you had written will, right? Okay, so this is perfect. So this is the sentence I corrected, right? I put
Yes.
2 times. Okay. I don't have any food in particular, but if I had anything to eat, yes.
Ma'am, why is it written, I don't have any food favorite in particular? Why isn't it any favorite food in particular?
Oh, you can do that. It's not a big mistake. We can put that here.
Oh, no, I thought it's something which I don't know.
Oh,
So
no,
I'm really
no. It's you can do it either way. You can do it either way. I have no food favorite. I have no favorite food. It's not a
So
big thing. Favorite can be a noun, and favorite can also be an adjective. So it's depending on that.
I get it. Thank you.
But what I want to focus on is over here, this one. The second part is the conditional, is what I want to actually focus on. If I had anything to eat, it would be with my elder brother. What conditional is this? Is this a first, second, or third conditional?
It's
So this
second,
is
ma'am.
Second.
Second conditional, right? So because we have if I had, right? So grammatically, it's because of this. It's the grammatic reason for it.
Yes.
So why wouldn't he say why wouldn't he use the first conditional? Why wouldn't the second conditional is the correct conditional? This is the better correct conditional, but why not the first conditional?
It's because I'm not sure about it that I
Exactly.
would eat with my brother.
Exactly. It's not really a promise that you're making, right? Moaz, do you have a question? I see your hand up.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't be sorry. Absolutely. So it's not really for sure. Maybe your elder brother will not be next to you and you will share it with somebody else, right? Or maybe at that time you'll just have it by yourself. Who knows, right? It's not really a promise that you're making, right? But you're talking about a general second conditional statement in which if I had, it would be my elder brother. Okay. Now, another thing that I also wanted to point out is another thing we also see often is if I don't want to get the right sentence. I want to make that mistake. Okay. I have it written.
You need help in making mistake, man. Give me a sentence then. Like
No, I have faith in you. Don't say that. Give me a second. I'm going to tell you. I haven't saved over here. I just can't remember what file I saved it
the
on.
third one or the second one?
It's a second one. Third one is not often used, right? Because the third conditional is, 1 second, let me just find this file. I often save my files and then I forget which what I named the file. Okay. So the third conditional is basically talking about regret, right? We use it for either some sort of regret or some sort of like a reminder, right? You know, like when, so it's not something we use a lot, but the most used one is definitely the second conditional. It's the most used one because we're talking about a hypothetical, situation. Okay, let me give you a sentence, and then I want you guys to tell me if it is correct or incorrect. This is what I wanted to do, and I found it finally. So, Tariq, could you read the sentence for us?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. If he didn't know what to do, he would have asked us.
Wrong.
Why?
Okay, then
Because of in the if sentence you use didn't know, and in the other sentence you use would have asked. With present perfect you use would plus present perfect, but in the if clause you didn't use the
Very good.
past perfect.
So we have to
Yeah.
change one clause. So be careful to use the word clause and not sentence, right? It's very important to do that because it's one sentence. It's just the clause that we're looking at. Absolutely.
Yes.
Very good. So the clauses are not matching up, right? The first clause looks like the second conditional. The second clause looks like the third conditional. So we can do two things. First, we can make it into the second conditional, right? We can say if he didn't know what to do, he how would we put this in the second conditional? He would.
You would have asked her, I guess, the
No.
be with the. Yeah.
No.
All right.
It's just we have
He
to put
would ask us.
would ask us. Exactly. Because after would, we're just putting the base verb, right? So if he didn't know what to do, he would ask us. This is how we could change a sentence into the second conditional. Or we could make it into the third conditional by saying if he here we changed the second clause. So how are we going to do the third conditional? We're going to change the first clause.
Yeah.
Third conditional is a use of past perfect. So if he hadn't
Knew
known what to do, and then the same thing. We would just continue. He would have asked us. So here we're just changing the first clause like that. Okay, like
Here,
that.
ma'am, we also added the ed with the ask word.
Well, you can call it that, but we made it into a past participle. Have asked is present perfect, right? So what we did over here is have asked is the present perfect, but we didn't add it because it's already there.
Yeah.
It was
Get it.
already here. Have asked is over here also.
It's basically
Right.
important.
It's already here, and then we put it over here. We just copy pasted it. It's the same thing.
Hmm.
In the second conditional, we're changing the yellow part, which is the second clause. In the third conditional,
would
we're
also-
changing the first clause in the yellow. Okay, let me show you a different one. So, Moaz, could you read the sentence for me, please?
If I will tell him the news, I will tell him the news if I will see him.
Okay, so you see the if clause, this is a good reminder that the if clause can go at the start or at the end. So the clauses can move around. You don't always have to start with if. Okay, the
Oh.
clauses can always move around. That's something to remember. So, but you just have to make sure that the clause is written correctly. It can be before, it can be after, it doesn't matter, as long as it's correct. So, how can we, is this correct, first of all? What do you guys think?
No, it's wrong.
Okay, why is it wrong?
You,
Uh,
you are using will in the both class. In both
Very
class.
good. So you want to say you are using will, not the will. You're using will in both
In both class.
clauses. Both clauses. Can you
Oh.
read? Can you read this in the red, Moaz?
You are using will in both classes.
There you go. You're using will in both. So that's incorrect. So who can try to fix this then?
I will.
Go for it.
I will tell him the news if I see him.
I'll tell him the news if I see him. Absolutely, this is correct. So the rule is in the if clause, do not use will or would. That is a very important rule. So in the if clause, you do not want to use will or would.
Or would.
Excellent. Well done. Okay, I see that Rabia has joined us too. So I want to hear some more voices as well. Although I love to hear Muaz and Tariq's voice, I want to hear more voices. So let's see, would anyone else like to read the sentence for me? Rabia?
Ma'am, I asked which one.
The latest sentence you see on, do you see my screen?
Okay. Yeah, I can see.
Okay.
If you go to Dallas in August, you get hot weather.
So the pronunciation of this word is Dallas.
Okay.
Dallas.
If you go to Dallas in August, you get hot weather.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so everyone, anyone tell me what is the sentence correct or is it incorrect?
It's incorrect.
Okay, and why is it incorrect?
Because you
It's
use.
correct.
So
No, it's incorrect.
let's listen to Muaz first and then I will listen to Rabia. So go ahead, Muaz.
You will get hot weather.
You will get hot weather. Rabia, why do you think it's correct?
The fact when you go to Dallas in August, you get hot weather.
Say it again, sorry.
I said it's a fact. I guess it's zero conditional.
Absolutely.
Whenever you go to Dallas in August, you get hot weather. There is no other like.
Absolutely. So then you need when, right? So when you go to Dallas in August, you get hot weather. And if you go to Dallas in August, you get hot weather. You're absolutely right. Here we have two options. One, we can use the first conditional. And if we use the first conditional, then like Moaz said, we have to add the will, right? So if you go to Dallas in hot weather, you will get hot weather. And if you want to use the zero conditional, which I don't necessarily like a lot, to be honest, then we change the sentence around, right? I would say you get hot weather in Dallas in August in Dallas. I would just remove the if, because when it's zero conditional, it's a fact. You don't need to put a conditional. But in some grammar books that are unfortunately still publishing, which they shouldn't be, you can say if you go to Dallas in August, you get hot weather. It's okay to use that. But in spoken English, we don't really, if it's zero conditional, then we need zero if, because if means conditional. So if it's zero conditional, then we don't need an if. But absolutely right. In zero conditional, you do not need a will or a would. It's a very factual sentence. It's zero, so it's not really a conditional anymore then. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, sometimes we can use a different word in conditionals as well. And I'm going to show you this. And I will need Tariq, why don't you read this sentence for me, please?
Me,
Yes, you, Tariq.
unless she comes soon, we'll be late for the first performance.
Okay. So is this correct?
Am I audible?
Yeah, yes.
Did I read it just? I mean, did I just read it?
You did read it, yes.
Yeah, okay. I thought you didn't get it. No.
I got it. I said good, very good. Now, I want to know if this is correct or incorrect.
This doesn't seem correct to me.
If we can use unless, then it's correct. In the
So you
place of
think
it.
it's correct, Moaz? And Moaz, if you think it's correct, is it first, second, or is it a conditional, no conditional? Why is
It's
it
first
correct?
conditional.
Okay,
It is a conditional, but there is something fishy over there.
okay. Why is it fishy?
Because of unless.
Because of unless it's kind of acting a little bit weird for you. This is actually
It
a
seems
correct.
like a conditional, so
This
it
is
should be correct.
this is a correct sentence, unless she comes soon, right?
Yes.
We will be late for the first performance, which means if she comes late, unless she comes soon, we'll be late for the first performance. It's kind of, I don't want to say negative if, but it's another way of using if as a conditional without if. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something. Wait 1 second.
Yeah.
Translation of unless when in conditional sentences means if not, right? So it's kind of like saying if she doesn't, if she is not here soon, we'll be late for the first performance. So it's kind of like I said, like kind of like a negative if, right? So a common sentence could be right? Unless you study, you will not pass. So it's kind of like saying, if you don't study, you will not pass. So
Yeah,
unless acts like an if not. It's a very, very spoken English way of using it. It's way better than using the negative if. If you want to say if and negative, then it sounds better and more English to use unless. Unless is a very, very good substitute for the negative if. And the sentence is correct. Okay, let me show you one more. Zilehoma, are you here? Do you want to read this sentence for us, please?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Tell him, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Yeah, tell him to go to his room if he arrives late.
Mhm.
I think this is correct.
Okay.
Tell him. Yes.
Yes, it's absolutely correct.
Yes.
So if he arrives late, tell him to
Yes.
go to his room, right? So this is exactly what you want the person to do. And
Yes.
why no will? Because this is a it's more of a what's the word I'm looking for?
Or of a zero conditional.
It's not a zero conditional. It's not a zero conditional. The word I'm looking for, my mind is, it's an imperative sentence. That's the word I'm looking for. It's an imperative sentence,
Okay.
right? Because it's a command or a request or an instruction. And in this case, you don't need a will in imperative sentences, right? So for example, if I want you to, if I want to say, if it is windy, close the windows, because I don't need to put will in here. I'm not saying you will close the windows. I'm not telling you what you will do. I'm telling you what to do, right? Because when I say close the windows, I am telling you what to do if it's windy. If I say if it is windy, you will close the windows. Here, I am telling you what you will do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you this is what you will do if it's windy. But in the first one, I'm telling you what to do. I'm giving you an instruction what to do if this happens. Then in that case, it's not zero conditional, it's first conditional, but I'm telling you what to do. If this happens, then you have to do this. It's an instruction or a request or a command that I'm giving you to do something. Is that good, or should I explain this further?
No, it's okay.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, let's do one more. And Zunera, if you're still here, then I'd like you to read this next sentence, please.
Sure, I'm here.
Okay,
I would love to be able to swim if I am not afraid of the water.
this is how I want you to pronounce I'd. I'd love
I'd.
to be able. It just sounds more competent in English, and you sound more fluent when you say, I'd love to be able to swim. It's not wrong to say I would love, but it's a little bit more wordy. So to sound more fluent and, cooler in English, you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
say, I'd love
Got
to
it.
be able to swim. So try saying that again.
I'd love to be able to swim. I'm just not fluent, I think, when I say I'd.
You just have to practice, and that sounds, what you said right now sounds amazing. So it's just a matter of
Okay.
practice, right? So it's
I'll
really, really
try.
good.
I'll try.
Good job. Okay, is the sentence correct or not?
I think I find it correct, I think.
You find it correct?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Let me just check those tenses if they are okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would love to be able to swim. Again, I said I would, sorry.
No
I'd
problem.
love to be able to swim if I am
Mhm.
not afraid of the water. Okay, if I am not afraid of the water is okay. I would love, it's in the past. I think it's first conditional.
Not first conditional.
Oh, okay.
Good try. Good try. Anyone
If it's
else?
not first, then it
It
must be
seems incorrect
second.
to me.
I heard another girl's voice I didn't recognize.
I think it was Rabia.
Okay.
It seems incorrect to me.
Okay, so what's incorrect?
Because it's I'd love and then I am not afraid of the water.
So what would you do?
I I may be wrong, but I was not afraid of the water.
I try to make that in the future tense.
Like that.
But yeah, in the past.
Absolutely. If I
Hmm.
was not afraid of the water, I'd love to be able to swim. I'd love to be able to swim if I was not. And the better way of saying this, of course, like all
Wasn't.
exactly.
Wasn't.
I wasn't afraid of the water, and that is absolutely perfect because we have I would, right? So I'd love to. So when this is second conditional, like we have over here, it's the past tense plus would plus the verb hypothetical situation. Hypothetical situation. Maybe if you were not afraid of the water, maybe you still wouldn't love to swim. Maybe you would not like to be in the water. Maybe you would be allergic to chlorine or salt or something. Who knows, right? You're just talking hypothetically because at the moment you are afraid to swim. But you're talking about a situation in the future in which you weren't afraid of the water, then you would love to be able to swim. So this is a hypothetical situation.
Okay, otherwise,
Yeah.
the sentence, like usually when we try to say that if I'd love to be able to swim if I am not afraid of the water, if we aren't talking about hypothetical situations, it would be okay, right?
No, if you're not, so not hypothetical
Hmm?
would be but you are, it's impossible because you are afraid of water.
Exactly, ma'am. When we say
Right?
Okay.
when we say I'm not afraid of the water, that means we're making it very clear. There is no hypothetical situations left in there.
I mean, there is no not hypothetical. It is going to be hypothetical. If you want to do first conditional, you're going to say, I love to, no, if I, what if are you doing? What conditional are you doing? If I see the water, or if I'm in water, if I am in water, I am not able to swim because I am afraid. This is all true, fact, sure, and real. So it's the first conditional.
Got it.
Right? Because, but in this case, the fact is you are afraid of water, so you don't like to swim. But because what the sentence structure is like, just because of that sentence structure, it's the second conditional. It's a hypothetical situation. Because in this idea, what I get is, the idea is you are afraid, therefore you do not love to swim. Like that. And if I go too fast, please ask. I would love to repeat a million times as long as you all understand or on the same page as me.
May I try another example with another example?
With the second conditional?
Yeah, I just want to try with another sentence.
I put one right now. Go ahead. Read this sentence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go quickly if you want to buy that last pair of shoes.
So is
Okay,
this
go quickly if you
true?
want to buy that last pair of shoes.
Is this true, correct, or incorrect?
It's correct.
Everyone thinks it's correct? Absolutely. Absolutely. And here we don't have will because it's imperative again, right? It's more like a demand or a request or an instruction. It's an imperative sentence again over here. So the same rule over here. Go quickly if you want to buy that last pair of shoes. Is this first conditional, second, third?
If you want to buy that, maybe it's zero conditional.
No.
I don't find it first, second, or third.
And you know what? It's not really important.
Okay, got it.
If you're speaking
Yeah.
in real life in English, then it doesn't really, no one's going to ask you to make a first conditional sentence or second conditional. You just have to say the right conditional, right? So it's not important to remember, but to understand it's kind of important. If you don't understand, it's important to know. But once you understand and you're speaking, it doesn't really matter what you call it, right? So here, if you want, it's present simple to buy that last pair of shoes and go quickly. That means you're giving an instruction. An instruction is first conditional. You're giving an instruction. It's a fact. It's true. It's real, etc. Okay. Let me give you all. Okay, I'm going to put a sentence and I want everyone to take a minute before you reply. You don't have to answer quickly. I want everyone to have the time just to read it in your head and try to see if it's correct or incorrect. I'm going to give you 20 seconds to read it and understand it. Okay. Who wants to?
It's incorrect.
Incorrect. Why is it incorrect?
For me too.
Okay, so why? What do you want to fix in it?
Rabia, you want to go on? Because you was the first one.
Rabia, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, Rabia, do you want to try to fix it?
It's so obvious. If she hadn't gone to university in Paris, she wouldn't have been able to speak French so well.
Could you tell me again, wouldn't? How would you correct this? Wouldn't?
She be wait. It's correct, I guess.
It's correct. It's incorrect, but I want you to correct it. I want someone to correct it.
It would be, she wouldn't have been able to speak French so well.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
If she hadn't gone to university in Paris. So my question is, where did she, oops, not did you, did she go to university?
Paris.
In Paris. And my other question is, does she speak French?
Yep, she does.
Yeah.
Very good. Excellent. And that's why we're using the third conditional, because we're talking about how her life would have been different if she hadn't gone to Paris, and what the result would have been, contrary to the fact, right? So we are speaking, the third conditional is contrary to reality, contrary to what is true. Now, one thing that I heard right now is someone said to Rabia, go on, Rabia, to tell her to, it's your turn, I will let you go. But what we want to say is go ahead. Okay, back to phrasal verb. We're
Okay.
always stuck with phrasal verbs, huh? So go ahead is to
Mm-hmm.
allow another person to take a turn, or to allow someone else to go before you, right? That is what you want to say. Go ahead. Go on.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Go on, it means to continue, right?
Yep.
So if someone is telling you a story and they are interrupted, oh, look, I'm making a first conditional sentence, right? So if someone is telling you a story and they're interrupted, you then tell them to go on.
But at that time, I interrupted her. She was speaking and I just jumped in and I said
Exactly. And
that word.
in that case, you still want to say go ahead, because go on,
Mhm.
even if I think you're a wonderful person, Zunera, but even if you're the nicest person ever, but if you say go on, it could be taken as sarcastic,
Okay.
So do you speak Urdu?
G.
So it's, imagine if I make this mistake in Urdu, right? So if I'm talking and you interrupt me, right? And then I tell you, Nini, pehle aap bol lo, right?
Okay.
It's like,
Okay,
okay.
got it.
So there are ways of, and the thing is that maybe you have the nicest heart in the world, right? But that's not what you mean to say. But just the word go on and go ahead can change the entire meaning of the conversation.
अब मैं इसका अच्छे से इस्तेमाल करूंगी.
Exactly. Sometimes you'll need to use it. Nini, pehle aap bol. Go ahead.
Yeah, with friends especially.
Exactly. Go on.
So the go on and the carry on, these two words are, I guess, pretty similar.
Similar, very similar. You're right. Absolutely. Carry on. It just, in some situations it could be very similar, like in talking, or carry on, or go on, carry on the meeting, right? But in some situations, carry on would be better if you're driving, for example, right? So if you pause to get some gas in the car, then you can say, okay, we're just going to carry on our trip now, right? We're not going to go on our trip now. We're going to carry on our trip. So in some situations it can be, but absolutely 100%, they both have the same idea to use it. Very, very, very good, guys. Excellent. Okay. Amazing workshop, guys. You guys are great. I have a couple more for you guys.
May I say one thing?
Please, yes.
Related to the previous discussion. It's a problem in Pakistan when you speak something in English or English phrasal verb. It would seem like nice. For example, if you abuse someone in English, they will have no issue. But if you abuse them in Urdu or Punjabi, they would have So this is with same thing with go on and pehle aap bolo.
Yeah.
Pehle aap bolo.
Well, that's a thing when you're learning English. Anyone is learning English, and if we don't use the correct phrasal verbs, imagine the miscommunication that can be caused, right? Because in your mind, you're not, like, Zunera was not being rude to you at all. She was actually being very polite to you. But imagine that it could cause a misunderstanding, right? And that is a problem with phrasal verbs, like that's what happens, lost in communication, right? Or lost in translation, I mean.
I'm not expert in English, therefore there was no issue.
Well, I want all of you to be experts in English. That's the goal of you guys being here. And if I can make you guys a little bit closer to being experts, I will think that I've done my work. So that is my ultimate goal. And that should be your goal too, to be experts. And you have to be experts. So maybe one day somebody can be teaching this English workshop, inshallah. One of you guys should be continuing to teach this English workshop. That will be my success if that happens. So, and inshallah it will happen.
Inshallah.
So ma'am wants some more free time, right?
Inshallah, inshallah.
But don't tell everybody that. That's a secret.
Okay.
Absolutely. So you see over here, you said if you speak something in English, the word over here we want to use instead of speak is use say something in English, right? We speak a language, but we say something in English, right? Because in Urdu, we have so many words like bolna, kehna, and I guess jawab dena, or so, there's so many things. There's so many ways that like, Urdu is a very rich language, right? In English, we have a few words. We have speak, talk, say, and tell, right? So, yeah. So we're actually that is what I was thinking of doing, and I'm just going to make a note for myself. We're going to do next workshop, which will be the last workshop for about 3 weeks. We're going to take a break after that because I'll be traveling. So I'm going to do on word choice. We're going to do a vocabulary workshop, which is really interesting. Okay, I made that note for. Okay. I have one more sentence before we call it a day. So, if Andorra were a bigger country, it won't be so famous. How is this?
It wouldn't be so famous, I guess, not in place of won't.
Absolutely. Very good. Wouldn't be so famous. Exactly. So, is Andorra?
Another question. Why there is war with Andorra? It shouldn't be was if Andorra was.
There is. Very good. So first of all, the question should be, why is there? That's very
Yeah, why is
important.
there?
Okay.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. This is a very, very good question. And I'm going to put it over here, actually, all the way up here. So one rule we have is the if clause can go at the start or at the end. Another rule that we have is with in the if with conditionals, we can say if plus was and if plus were very substitutably. They're both they both can go. If I was a doctor, I wouldn't teach English. If I were a doctor, I wouldn't teach English. They're both correct.
Okay, this was new to me.
Yeah, it is. It's new to a lot of people when they see this, but it's a very, very common thing to do only in conditionals. Otherwise, like you noticed, it's not supposed to be were, it's supposed to be was, right? But in
it means conditionals make life easy.
Exactly. That's a good way of looking at it. Yes.
Yeah.
Was?
What about will and shall?
Okay, so what do you mean? What about will and shall?
There are misconception in here in Pakistan about will and shall.
So here is my thing. First of all, remind me next week because I want to talk about that next week as well. And I'm going to give you a small homework, and I will remind you the whole week in the workshop as well. But I'm going to give you guys a homework. And shall, but a quick answer: shall is ancient history.
Yep, we already discussed this one, ma'am.
Yes, but I'm going to say this all my life to everyone. So, I will die saying this sentence. This will be on my tombstone when I die, okay? Shall is ancient history. Please bury it. We don't need shall in our lives anymore. No one in the Western world uses this word shall. But here is the homework, and I'm going to tell you this again in the meeting, in the WhatsApp group as well. I want everyone to think of words that they're not sure about, exactly like someone asked me, right? I think it was Moaz, you asked me about shall and will.
Yes.
One mistake that we did was speak, say, tell, talk. Think of words that you find are a mistake. Like, for example, even in the daily challenge thing that I give you guys, sometimes I say, no, don't use this word, or I change the word, right? So you can go through
Yes.
that also. Find not grammar questions. I want you to think of vocabulary questions for next class. I want you to think of words that, especially for those of you, if you're in Pakistan or India, I really want you to do this homework, really, especially for you guys. And I think right now everybody's in Pakistan or India. I really want you guys to think of words that are commonly used in Pakistan and India, and then we don't use them in this part of the world. So I'm going to be giving you a lot of those words, right? So you don't have to lose your sleep over this homework, but I really want you to think and make a list, because next week we're going to do word choice. Our workshop will be about word choice. I'm going to stop the sharing and stop the meeting for today. I will send this document, like always, in the group. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and participating. You guys are a lovely, lovely group. And
Thank you, ma'am.
you're most welcome. And inshallah, see you all in the group.
Have a safe
Shalom. Thank you
journey.
so much.
Take care. See you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum.
See you.
Walaikum
Walaikum
salam.
salam.